Awareness feels like freedom. It isn't. It's just a moment before things get uncomfortable, because once you realize what's holding you back, you're left with a harder problem. What do you do next? Most people think seeing the prison is the breakthrough. It isn't. It's actually the point where most people turn back. So today's video is about how you actually get out. Here is the trap a lot of people fall into. They realize they are trapped, they feel relieved, and they feel seen. Now, feeling seen is a point of a lot of self-improvement content. They want you to feel seen because that's how they connect with you and make you subscribe and like their videos. But then after you watch the video, nothing changes. Because the awareness that you get, it creates friction, but it doesn't create movement. And movement is what you need to break out of that prison. Otherwise, that prison will stay intact and you remain in it. So unless something in your behavior contradicts that prison, nothing is going to change. Because that contradiction is where your escape begins. And most people avoid contradiction because to them it feels irresponsible. Before we go any further, you have to understand this. You can't escape the prison by fixing everything all at once. You escape the prison by breaking alignment. It's January right now. What happens to gyms? They get flooded by people with New Year's resolutions. I go to the gym 6 times a week. Believe me, I see them coming 6 times a week, day in and day out. By the time March comes, 80% of them have left. It's always the same cycle. Now, all these people are aware that they need to change, but they don't stick with it because they try to do too much at once. The problem is that the prison that they are in, their life agrees with it. What I mean is that your routines match your identity. Your environment supports your habits, and your explanations protect your choices. Now, to break out, you don't need a new life and go to the gym 6 times a week, for example. You just need one misalignment that stays in your life. That's how you build. Now, I want you to hold on to that idea because we'll come back to it. Let's get into step 1 first. The first step you might not expect, but it is to name your prison in operational terms. So most people describe their prison in emotional terms. I feel stuck. I feel lost. I feel behind. But that prison is way too vague to escape. You need to name it in behavioral terms. So ask yourself this instead. What do I do every day that quietly confirms the life I want to live? Again, what do I do every day that quietly confirms the life I want to live? Be concrete, Is it scrolling at night? Is it avoiding certain conversations? Is it delaying one specific task? Is it staying in environments that numb you? I can name all these examples because all these examples were true for me. Now, if you can't name it precisely, you can't dismantle it. So this is step 1. You need this to slowly break out of your prison, but you need to be able to name the problem first. Clarity is not a motivational thing. It's a surgical thing. You need to be precise. So ask yourself that question and answer it and get into the next step. Because in a moment, I'll show you why changing one of these behaviors will do more than 10 new habits ever could. Step 2 is to stop trying to feel ready. Most people wait for emotional permission, confidence, motivation, clarity, certainty. But that's just the prison protecting itself. Imagine you're stuck in a real prison. There's guards keeping you there. You're out here being free, no prison, yet you're keeping yourself stuck in one and protecting it yourself. There are no guards needed. If you put it like that, it sounds illogical. The reason that you're doing this illogical thing is because of emotional thinking. So listen to this carefully. Readiness is a feeling that's only produced after movement. Every prison trains you to wait, to prepare, to optimize, to research endlessly. But escape only begins when you act without internal consensus. Nothing is always going to feel ready and right on the inside. It isn't. It's only going to happen once you take the first small action with incomplete confidence and you don't expect any applause, because nobody is going to applaud you until you have results. Until then, it's just you applauding yourself. And that's how the door cracks. Step 3 is where things become actionable. Here, pick one daily action that contradicts your current identity. Not something that improves your identity or makes you think better of yourself, something that contradicts it. So an example would be, if you publish something daily on socials. If you overthink, you have to decide quickly once a day, in 3 seconds, don't take any longer. If you isolate, speak first once a day. Be in a group. Be outside, say hi, ask people how they are. If you numb out at night, sit in silence for 10 minutes. And when I say numbing out, I mean just grabbing your phone, scrolling endlessly, or watching Netflix. Nah, turn it all off and sit in silence for 10 minutes. Hear your own thoughts. Now, all these actions that you're taking should feel slightly unsafe, but socially survivable. So if it's not any of these actions that I named, you should figure out one for yourself. Let me know in the comments what your action is, and I'll respond my input. Now, if it feels heroic, that's way too big. If it feels comfortable, it's useless. You need to be in between. And that daily contradiction will slowly weaken the prison that you're currently in, and will do that more than any motivation ever will. There is a clear reason why this works. Identity just can't escape repeated contradiction. Because you can explain yourself once, you can maybe justify yourself twice, believe me, I've done it. But when behavior changes consistently, your old story, that old narrative, collapses. And it isn't doing so emotionally, it's doing so neurologically, because your nervous system starts calibrating what is normal or the new normal. It's recalibration in motion. You're conditioning your nervous system to find out what the new normal is. And you're setting that standard slowly. You're bending bars. You're not trying to blow up a prison and escape it. No, just bending one bar, then the other one. And that's your nervous system adjusting. So that's how freedom becomes sustainable. The 4th step is where you remove one escape route. Don't try to remove them all, just try to remove one. So if it's distraction, comfort, noise, fantasy, you don't remove all of them, you just remove one. Ask yourself, when I feel tension or unease, what do I do to relieve that or make it disappear? The answer to that question is the escape behavior that you're going to remove from your life. The way to do so is by changing the accessibility, because you're going to be tempted to escape again. It's very natural. If it's socials, for example, it's so easy to get back on socials and try to send a message or scroll endlessly. So make it harder to attain. Delete the apps, delete your accounts, what I did. Put your phone on black and white so it's less stimulatory. You have different apps that can lock your socials down. Put a timer on them or a max amount of time you can spend on your phone. I'm not going to endorse one. I'm not sponsored, but just look for one. You'll find it. Now, if you do one of those things, interrupt the ritual, change the room, whatever your escape behavior is, you're not punishing yourself. You're just removing that emergency exit that you have that's preventing your growth. So if you feel lazy, there's an emergency exit that you have to sustain that behavior. Take it away, and it will be way harder to sustain. That step feels irrational at first because you're just removing one escape behavior when the whole world is telling you to stop everything. Trust me, try it. Later it will feel obvious why you did so. Step 5 is where most people hesitate because it's the tough part, but for freedom, you simply have to pay a cost, because freedom generally costs. So with this step, you pay one small but real cost, and you need to pay it on purpose. Maybe you're going to disappoint someone slightly because you're choosing for your own path and goal, and it's not the narrative that fits them. Don't be afraid of that disappointment. It's the cost you're paying for your freedom. Maybe you have to stop performing a role once, the role people assign to you, the person that you are, but you want to grow, you want to be different. Well, stop performing that role for comfort. Be uncomfortable. That's the cost you're paying. Maybe choose differently than everybody expects from you. Your parents, your family think they know better, but maybe you have a dream that they don't have. And if they don't have the dreams that matches yours, why are you listening to them? Do they have the life that you want? If no, maybe reconsider whose advice you're taking and dare to disappoint them. That's the cost you have to pay for freedom. It must be a noticeable one. It's not something dramatic, but it has to be real, because cost creates consequence, and consequence is what creates identity shift. And that gets you out of that prison. Without cost, the change just remains service level and cosmetic. That's not what we're going for here. Trust me, this step is going to feel like loss, because your nervous system equates belonging to a certain group or people like safety. So changing that and leaving that prison feels like social risk. But think of it this way. This is the reframe. You're not losing people. You're losing alignment with versions of yourself that just can't come with you. You're not losing anything. You're filtering because you want to be somewhere else. You want to be someone who works and operates differently. Step 6 is where you lock a direction, because escape fails when you treat it as an experiment. And that's the problem with a lot of these videos. They're free. You can watch them when you want them, how you want them, however you want them. You don't have to take them seriously. Maybe you're just trying, dabbling, and that's how you retreat. Because escape only happens when you lock a direction, not the outcome. Don't treat this as an experiment, because that's how you stay locked in your current life. This matters more than anything else should. Just like a real prison is something an inmate would want to break out of, that's how you should treat the prison that you're currently in mentally, because it keeps you stuck in the real world. Decide that you're no longer just optimizing comfort. You're optimizing your path, your trajectory. You don't need to know where you're going. You just need to know that you're not returning. That's all that matters. Don't look back. Eyes front. Just that mindset alone is going to create momentum. Keep in mind that freedom doesn't arrive with relief. It arrives with responsibility. No script, no permission, no familiar rituals. And that scares people. But trust me, it also feels clean. You shed yourself of all these worries. It's quiet, honest, and undeniable. And once you experience that, the prison becomes impossible to stay in. Not because it hurts, but just because it feels small and you feel cramped. So now you've got no choice but to leave. If you recognize your prison in the video I made about invisible prisons holding you back, great, that's awareness. But if you take even one action from this video, that is separation. You don't escape by force, you escape by refusal. Refusing to keep living in line with a version of yourself that you have outgrown. Start small, stay inconsistent but persistent, pay one cost, and that's how the prison breaks. And once it breaks, you'll never confuse comfort with freedom again. Let me know in the comments which prison you're going to break out of. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I started a free community. Link is in the description. There's a direct line to me. You don't have to pay anything. Let's build a community together.